Motivational Monday. And I was kind of thinking about it. I'm like, what do we talk about today? And I thought I would kind of talk about, we labeled it the airplane windshield got busted. And I labeled it that because truly the other day I'm coming down and it basically what happens is the windshield suddenly develops a huge crack right on the front of the windshield. And why I'm talking about that and how does it relate to Motivational Monday is here's the thing behind it, right? If you, and I'm going to show you that clip really quick because I want you guys to see, right? Because it's interesting. It's at night. I'm coming in from 28,000 feet, basically getting ready to land, and the windshield in front of you basically develops all these cracks, right? But I want to kind of go back and bring you up to date as to how I got here. Maybe this is something that's going to be hopefully inspirational. Hopefully it gives you hope. And what I mean by that is this, that 2002, March of 2002, March, April, is when I moved to Chicago. And the reason why I'm talking about it is because if you think about it, we just ended 2022. So this was basically about exactly 20 years ago is when I moved to Chicago. And when I had moved to Chicago, I had moved with about $400 or $500. And I had a friend of mine, Christine, and literally I used to, for a couple days, I clearly didn't want to tell her that I didn't have enough money, but I pretended like it was really late, and I slept on her couch, right, for the first couple days. And then at the time, she lived in downtown, and I came out to Schaumburg because I was ashamed to admit that here I was at the time, 20-something years old, 24 years old, I believe, 25 years old, and I had $500 to my name, right? I mean, think about it, right? A tank of gas, right, at the time wasn't as expensive as it is today, but still, right, that's 30, 40 bucks at the time. And so clearly I was desperate to get a job. And my idea was, some of you guys have heard me talk about the whole in Atlanta, how I had a gas station and somebody drove into it. If you haven't heard about that, go to the 3-day and I kind of go through exactly what happened, right? The reason I say this is for this reason, that we're in a business environment today where a lot of people have this idea that, that I'm going to make money quickly. I'm going to make money easily. And I say that because that's kind of what is going on. We see that in the cryptocurrency space, right? Most people are in crypto, not because they see Bitcoin or crypto as a store of value. What they see is that, oh my God, I'm going to get in. Hopefully the coin is going to be worth a bajillion bucks and I'm going to become really, really wealthy. Another phenomenon that we saw was during Corona, right? When they had the PPP loans, when they had all the stimulus checks, quote unquote, all that kind of stuff going on, that there were literally, thousands and thousands of people around the country that abused that particular system. And why am I talking about this? I'm talking about this is this, that at some point in our lives, we've all done something incorrect, maybe wasn't quite ethical. I mean, however you justify it, maybe long back you look back and you say, it was maybe not my brightest moment. And I say that because I had an interesting conversation with a friend of mine who's an attorney this week. And he brought that issue up. He's like, man, you won't believe how many people I'm getting that kind of thought it was easy money. And what's interesting, what is happening is this. I got a call just a couple days ago from Rolls, the guys that I bought, the sales guy that I bought the new Rolls from when I bought it a couple of years ago, 2-3 years ago. And he's like, man, we're getting a lot of these being turned in from people who got the PPP money. They bought all these cars, the Lambos, the Ferraris, and all this kind of stuff. And now they're getting caught And this is going to be a big issue. I mean, if you look at any of the news, they're being prosecuted. And I'm talking about this because what happens is this, that a lot of times for some people, it's easy come and easy go, right? People who basically tried to defraud the system, what did they do? Right? Their tendency is they got the money easy because it was being given out. And actually, I mean, these guys, 100% of them, 100% of them should go to jail. Why do I say that? Because supposedly we're in a pandemic, and supposedly this money is meant to go help business owners, go help people who are financially struggling, go help employees, and yet these people are exploiting the system. And they exploited it to the tune of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars, if not the figures in the billions. And I'm saying that is this, for this reason. That, and how does it relate to the whole airplane window being busted, is because even when I still remember when I meet my friends from back when I was 10 or 12 years old, they still laugh. They're like, we still remember when you used to see the airplane, you're like, one day I'm going to buy one. And they used to think I was like the biggest bullshitter ever, right? They're like, this is bullshit, right? Who ever can afford an airplane? And I'm saying that for this reason, that number one, if your mindset is that I'm going to get something easy, I'm going to get something quick, there's a basic philosophy in life. If it came easy, it's going to go easy, right? And if you show me a successful person, I will show you a series of failures behind them. What I mean by that is this, that in life, right? Nobody, I don't know of anybody that has achieved anything that is of value, that they have kept for a long period of time, where at some point they haven't had some failures, right? And that may be small mistakes, big mistakes, whatever it is, right? And I say that because something interesting happened, because the other day somebody found out that when I'm coming in, so let me show you guys this clip. Hopefully it'll, oh, I don't know how to get it to, let me try it again. Yeah, for some reason it doesn't want to stay over there, but I wanted to show you guys that whole clip. But anyway, and so I got something interesting, right? And this is what it is. So let me share my screen. Huh? Yeah. Okay, here we go. Right. So hopefully you guys can see my screen. And so it's a quote on this particular window from Byerly Aviation for $108,000. This is just for, this side of the window for the airplane. And reason I was showing you guys that was for this reason. So somebody the other day told me, they're like, Andrew, that is crazy, man. You know, that is stupid. I would never do that. Who would ever? What happened? Who would ever? Huh? Oh, who would ever pay quality? Oh, okay. So who would ever pay that kind of money? And I say that to say this, that what happens is this. A lot of times, I mean, I was the same guy, right, that moved to Chicago with literally 500 bucks in my pocket. And during the day, I was trying to basically sell real estate. And in the evening, around 4:30, 5 o'clock, I would go to my job as a server at the Shula Steakhouse, which was the Wyndham Hotel on El Genoa Expressway, right? I was the same guy. And I say that because at that time, I'll never forget this, right? I needed a set of tires on my car. And I could not afford to basically have, I mean, my credit card would not have gone through to buy a set of tires. I mean, I don't know what it was, 400, 500 bucks at the time for a set of three, four tires, right? But my credit card would not go through. So I remember having to go get one of them changed because only one of them would go through, and the guy at the dealership, I mean, at the car place, was laughing at me because he's like, "Your other one is bald also." I'm like, "Oh yeah, yeah, I'm in a hurry. I'm gonna come back." Now he knew it, and I knew it. that the amount of time it takes to change, you know, tire, put a new tire on one thing is the same as it would on the other, right? In the same hour, so they could basically get both of the place. The thing I was ashamed to admit to him was that, man, I don't have enough money to be able to pay for that other tire. So I had to come back 3 or 4 weeks later and be able to afford the other tire. So I got, and the people at the place that were getting it changed, they thought it was kind of really funny. It wasn't funny to me. It may have been funny to them because the situation was I could not afford to be able to pay for that, right? And I'm saying that to say this, that it really doesn't matter where you are today. See, life doesn't know that where you are today versus where you're going, right? Life doesn't know it. Life doesn't know that you failed at something, and that has nothing to do with what will happen tomorrow. And I say that because a lot of times what happens is this, that as today the market is changing, as today a lot of people have lost money with, be it with the whole um, in the stock market, be it with the whole cryptocurrency, right? What happens is it has to do with the mindset. Sometimes you really have to trick your own mind into believing that something more is possible, right? And that something more is possible for you. Because life doesn't know what's possible for you. You decide what's possible for you. And here's why I can say that. So the same Wyndham Hotel where I used to work, now it's a Westin, right? So apparently Westin chain bought them out, and the Shula Steakhouse is some other type of steakhouse today, right? And and the bar used to be in the hotel lobby. There used to be a bar. Now it's a little bit fancier bar. You know, the bartender that works there used to work with me. Was probably my age, a year or two older. The wait staff that used to work at the hotel, it's the same wait staff that used to work there. The only difference, right? I don't think I was any smarter than them. I don't think I was any gifted in any special way than all those guys. You know what? The only difference was this, that they saw themselves as being a bartender for the next 5 years, 10 years, 20 years of their lives. I was serving steaks to people, and my biggest problem over there was that the listings I had, I'm a real estate agent during the day. I'm working here as a server at night. And I was like, one of my clients that either I've shown houses to or I'm showing houses to, hoping they would buy a house or two so that I'd have enough money and I wouldn't have to do this job anymore. One of them would walk in, or somebody that I had list their house listed for sale. And there's nothing wrong in any type of job at all. But I felt poorly about myself. Hey, Lori, I felt poorly about myself. And I say that because whenever I got in real estate, right, for the first 3, 4 years, I mean, I struggled. I struggled like no tomorrow. Every single day I used to make cold calls, and literally people in my office used to laugh at me. And it's not that I wanted to make those cold calls. I did that because I didn't have money to be able to send out mailers, to have a center of influence because I was too young, right? When and it took me a while to be able to succeed. When I started investing back in 2008, I mean, you could not have picked a worse time to get into real estate. 2008 was not the time to get into real estate at that time because the market was going down. You know, here was the fun part about it. That 2008, I made money. 2009, I made money. 2010, I made money. It was a struggle, but still I made money, right? And by 2011 and 12, I was ahead of everybody else. When the market turned, I was ahead of everybody else, right? So the first 3 years when I was investing, because I didn't know what I was doing, I didn't lose money. I made some money, less than what I made as a real estate agent. But if you'd really look at my net worth, literally till the beginning of 2011, it was still zero. It started at zero. Not my earnings. I'm talking about my net worth, right? Assets minus liabilities was still at zero. And I say that to say this, that a lot of times, right, when we start at something, just because in the beginning you're not a wonder kid or you're not successful overnight, that does not mean you're not going to be successful in the long term. Look at anybody that has succeeded and has succeeded day in, day out in general over a 5, 10, 15, 20-year period. None of them will have this amazing success. You may see it when they're amazingly successful, but certainly if you do any research, look into their backgrounds. Their success did not show up overnight. It took time, and my ambition always was that one day, someday, I'm going to get my pilot's license, and one day I'll be able to buy an airplane. Right? This is something I had in my mind even when I was dead broke. Right? And here I am. I go to the Chicago Executive Airport, right, to take flight lessons. I had no idea. I'd never been in a small plane like that in my life before. And so I go there. I mean, I was paranoid. I was paranoid that the engine's going to quit and it just falls out of the sky. This is what I thought, right, in my mind. And I still remember I used to look at all the YouTube videos, study everything that I could. And I'm like, in 40 hours, I can become a pilot. And here I am at 45 hours and still, um, the instructor felt I wasn't ready. Then I was like, oh my God, I'm such a loser that at 45 I'm not ready, and at 47 and 50 and 60 and 70, right? And what I realized was, and then I go to take my, so you have a written exam I passed, oral exam I passed, and then you have a flight exam. Flight exam, I make it through the whole thing. The very last thing is it's called turn around a point. You mean you pick a kind of a corner of a field, right? And then you're supposed to be at 1,500 feet altitude, and you basically bank your wing and you go in a circle. It's not turn around a point. And I failed that. I mean, I felt like a complete idiot that I passed the whole exam, and the instructor's looking at me. I mean, the lady, it's called DPE, is looking at me, and she's like, this was the easiest thing. Let's go fly back to the airport. You got to do it over again. So then a few days later, again, I got to get her in there, go just do that one thing, come back, and you get your, basically private pilot's license. And literally, I felt like an idiot because I failed, right? Then again, I go on to then the next step in that is you go get your instrument license, right? Instrument one, fortunately, I passed. Then I'm like, okay, I want a bigger airplane, right? The one I had compared to that, I want to buy a bigger one. So it's a twin turbine airplane, and that one I went to go. I go to Florida. I'm like, hey, in 5-6 days, I'm gonna get this rating done. It's great. Morning, afternoon. I'm gonna do the lessons, and I go there, and I'm like, oh my God, I think I feel good. And guess what? I'm uncoordinated in the turns. I failed that thing. Right now, I have to come back to Chicago, and everybody's like, "What happened?" And I'm like, "Man, I failed." Right? I felt like an idiot. And then I have to go back up to Wisconsin, and I'm, I'm feeling like this small, right? And this guy, I'll never forget this. And I'm like, man, I failed, blah 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 blah. I mean, life is so bad. And he's like, dude, whose Bentley is it in the parking lot? I'm like, mine. And he said something which was very interesting. He's like, Andrew, clearly you have succeeded. You're buying a bigger airplane and you failed one test, right? And he's like, how much time do you dedicate to be able to afford a Bentley and a Rolls, right? How much time do you dedicate to what you do? I'm like, well, to real estate, I mean, this is my life, man. I really pay attention to it. This is not something I take it very seriously. He's like, how much time do you dedicate to flying and study before you show up here to take a lesson? And this kid, right, and I'm saying probably 18, 19 years old, is trying to basically get his instructor's license. His net worth is probably -0. He's in budget debt. And the lesson he's telling me is exactly what I wanted to hear. which was that I'm just taking something which I was so blessed that I can do so many things today in my life. And yet, what I was doing was I was taking that failure of failing that flight test, right? Because I wasn't exactly up to the standard of what I needed to be met. Because what I was doing was that I was not dedicating the amount of time that is needed to be able to pass the test, right? Before and after. So what they say is that if you're going to take 1 hour of lesson, you should be putting in 2 hours in terms of debriefing what happened, and then next time before you show up for the next lesson to prep, rather than being on the phone and talking, basically doing real estate and suddenly showing up and, oh, I'm going to be a pilot, right? I'm saying all of that to say this, that I know every single thing that I've tried that today may look successful. In the past, if you look back, there were a lot of failures that when we fail, it seems like, oh, we're moving 1 step forward and 2 steps back. That's what it seems like it. But every single time that I have done something and I've tried something and that I've failed at, what that has done is the next step of it was successful, right? Is what I'm trying to say. And I say that to say this, that whole airplane thing, what I was talking about was that window, a few months ago, I had a bird strike. So basically we're taking off. It's me and Michael Stossel from Mastery. I think Farah was there. A couple other people were there in the airplane, and we're taking off. And basically a bird comes and hits the front windshield, right? At the time, obviously, we reported it to ATC. We checked. Seemed okay, but you can't tell exactly where it took the hit if there was any interior damage. Apparently there was. So that's why this incident happened. Now, most of the times, 99.9% cases, when something like that happened, unless there is a provable event, right? Something like this, if you have a crack in the window, that is not covered. And these damn windows and those sorts of things, right? They're so terribly expensive. In this case, just that half the window is $108,000. I mean, think about it. And I say that to say this because I was the same guy. At another point in my life, I was the same guy who had to get 1 tire on a car at a time because I couldn't afford 2 tires all at the same time. And somebody said to me, they're like, Andrew, man, it's going to cost you a lot of money. I'm like, you know something? If it does, it does. At least my problem today is $120,000 because my problem used to be at one time in my life $100. The problem that I have today, it's actually a pretty good problem to have. And clearly, if I'm not that worried about it, even if I had to pay for it. Fortunately, in this case, the insurance is covering it because it was a chain of events leading from the bird strike. But otherwise, what am I going to do? Sell the airplane? No. I mean, I'd get it replaced and move on with life. It's one of those, if you have a car, your windshield goes, what are you going to do? Right? You're not going to sell the car. You're just going to go get a new windshield. Right? This is no different. I say all of that to say this, that a lot of times what happens is this, because we fail at something, what we do is somehow we label ourselves as a failure, right? And I have done that a lot of times in my life. So it's kind of funny to talk about it today, but I've done that a lot of times in my life, rather than looking at it that it is a step towards success, right? Even if as today, as we do more and more, be it social media, be it all these things, right? To be able to be successful at all of these things. Today, we suck at best at any of this, right? Yet the question is, we're putting in an effort because I have a goal in my mind in terms of the business-wise to go from here to up here. Same thing with the amount of rentals that I own. I want to go from here to here. And every now and then, I will make a mistake. Like last year, I think I bought 24 or 25 properties, or maybe a little bit more, maybe about 30, I don't remember. And about 28, 29, I'm just keeping for rentals, right? And yet one property I screwed up on. I loved the house. I overpaid for the property, right? Now, generally, that's not how I buy properties. And I'm bringing this up is not because I screwed up. I'm bringing this up is because all of us will screw up at different types of things. You do anything from time to time, you're going to screw up, right? And what happens is this, yet what seems like a failure. So what my challenge to you is, and what I have to constantly challenge myself, is what our goal should be is to fail at a higher level, not to be a failure, but to fail at a higher level. Meaning, if you have a car and you can't afford to get the tires replaced, well, it better be an extremely expensive car, hopefully one day in your life. Because what that means is, it's not that anything is wrong. It's just that we have to, each time that we fail, we have to step forward, and hopefully it's not a failure where you're basically devastating your life. A lot of times what happens to people is that they basically go for that quick buck. And today, what I see, what's happening is people who did this whole PPP racket, or people who did this whole, what they're doing with cryptocurrency, right? Is not that they're not thinking that, okay, I'm going to take, say, 5% of my net worth, put it aside. Hopefully, if it goes up, God bless, I won a lottery ticket, right? But yet what they're going for is they're going for the quick buck. And yet, as they fail at these types of things, right, they're going to either have a very devastating failure, because some of them are going to go to jail. PPP people are going to go to jail. People who are investing in the cryptocurrency, some of them may end up okay. But most of them, we know they're going to lose their shirt. It's not whether it's going to happen, it's they're going to lose their shirt. My belief is this: it's much better to do things the right way, give it a little bit, be patient with things. And over time, your results are going to be a lot bigger, a lot better than what a lot of people do, being very short-sighted. I was just using the whole airplane thing as an example, because hopefully it's like, oh my God, right? I got a $120,000 expense just like that. But at least it's a $120,000 expense that today, not that anybody wants to spend and waste that kind of money, but guess what? At least I don't have to sweat about it, because at one time, if it had been a $100 expense, that would have been a major calamity in my life, because I did not have the $100, right? Hopefully, this was motivational. If you are not a member of Burr Cash Flow Investors, become one. Tomorrow, we have a great webinar that we're doing, and it is going to be with Farah Ali, and it's going to be fun. We're going to talk about the book she wrote, how exactly she got to a point where she could actually write a book, because June of 2014, literally, when she joined Mastery, every single penny went on her credit card, right? Every single penny. And at that time, she was over in $75,000 in debt. From that point to a point with 40 plus rentals and all the things that she's done today, what was that journey like? So this is going to be an awesome thing. We haven't had a long time that we haven't had Farah on to do an update on that whole thing. And it's something that is absolutely inspirational as to what is possible and what is possible for you, because we know the exact properties Farah has bought. Of the 70, 80 properties, all the transactions that she has done in her career of real estate investing, we know exact simple what. So this is not something, oh my God, rags to riches, right? This is an honest goodness story of somebody that was not willing to settle for what they had, but said, hey, I'm going to build something, and the future is going to be something different. If you're not a member of Burr Cash Flow Invest, make sure you join the Facebook group. Invite your friends, bring your family along, because each time when you join, you get 1 point. When you invite your family member, or when you invite any friends, for every single one that joins, you get an additional point, and we're going to put that into a drawing. So you get that many more chances to win the next giveaway, and that is going to be a cruise for 2. So join, be a part of the community. We're not pitching anything, we're not selling anything. The whole point is, hopefully we can inspire for you to take your business to the next level. Having said that, thanks a bunch and have a good day.